It's always a delight to have you join us on the program Flipside with your sincerely Oluije Oikokai. Today on Flipside, we are looking at International Football Day. Yes, International Sports Day also. We're looking at the games, yes, and looking at how it has actually impacted the society and individuals. And to do that with us is the person of Dean Basie. He is the coordinator at Edo State Esports Association. Dean, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
And also we have Trust Grace. He is the event coordinator at Edo State Esports Association.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. And Shaw Solomon Aino, who is another special guest, sports analyst. Solomon, good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you. Good to be here again.
Okay, now I will definitely be saying that I'm blessed amongst men. And when we say men, I'm blessed among them. All right, so good afternoon, everyone. And today we're talking about sports, talking about football, talking about basketball, talking about wrestling, yes. Those days, I used to remember every Saturday, we find families coming together to watch wrestling. I don't know, is that still the same practice still now? Dean?
I think it has diluted a bit. It's not as it were before, but still that tradition of wrestling every Saturday is still there.
Okay. Solomon, I don't know.
Basically, people still watch sports. People still follow sports. Like, it gets away from the societal.
No,
issue.
I'm not actually talking about sport. I'm talking
Just
about wrestling. Wrestling itself.
Okay.
When our mothers, our fathers, then when you start getting the heat and they will start shouting, no, don't beat him, you know, and all of that.
Well, people still do that, but I think a little less on the side of wrestling.
Like what Dean said.
Yes,
it has been
probably
watered
other
down.
sporting activity. But for wrestling, you know, with time, people just they kind of like discover what wrestling is about, and most people just shift their attention away from wrestling for now.
Okay. All right, so sport promotes values, and football, being the world's most popular sport, has immense potential to promote peace, achieve sustainable development goals, and uphold universal values. Now, the transformative power of football sports has been instrumental in promoting peace globally and have played a pivotal role in achieving the sustainable development goals. Now, football as a prominent global sport has held a unique position. Now, beyond mere recreation, it is a universal language spoken by people of all ages, transcending national, cultural, and socio-economic boundaries, and definitely sharing passions, foster and scenes of community and national pride. Football board's appeal and accessibility makes it a potent tool to promote health and well-being. It has also served as a vital platform for achieving gender equity and equality and empowering women, girls, both on and off the field. Now, there was something that actually, came to my subconscious right now. We're talking about sports, promoting value, promoting peace, and also talking about sustainable development goals. Now, how has this been able to bring the world together? How has sport been able to bring the world together? Let's start from Solomon.
Okay, when you look at the structure of every sporting activity, not just football, you see the likes of basketball, volleyball, handball, tennis, swimming, gymnastic, athletics. Generally, there is this form of competition and also a form of togetherness, because it's more like there must be a team to make it work. So you must accept someone else's idea, adding to your own skills and idea to make it work. So it has always been a unifying factor, bring people together of different races, bring people together of different languages, on different occasions, on different soil, in Africa, out of Africa, in the world generally. We've seen that over time. And it's a way to preach peace. It's a way to preach about diversity. Yes, diversity exists within us as people.
Yeah.
But basically, sport just brings us together, make us feel everybody's pain, feel everybody's joy, have this bounding factor that comes with sporting activity. And looking at football, basically, you see in recent time the fight against some major situation happening in the society at large. I think of recent, there was this case of the football governing body looking into racism critically. It shows that there are things that are happening in sport or in our society nowadays that they are looking at reducing by all means. So sport basically, it has been a very big unifying factor in the world, and it's still going to stand more for people than the way it was before.
Okay, all right. So, Charles, why do you feel more attention is being given to football than every other sporting activities we have in our country and, of course, the world at large?
Well, I think it's because football might be the most entertaining sports we have in the world. It's really competitive. We have a lot of competitions, and you know, the coverage of these sports is by far larger than any other sports you get. So we have the Premier League, the La Liga, the Champions League, the World Cup, the Euros coming up in the summer. So it's the kind of sport everybody can be involved in, like the passion that comes with it, the way the game goes. You can watch a football match, there's no goal, but you enjoyed what you watched. Like there's always something to play for, and most importantly, of recent, we're having the amount of money these footballers are making, you know, is pushing more people to, you know, get involved in this sport, both as players, coaches, sponsors. You own your own club, so everybody wants to get involved one way or the other.
Yeah. Now, thank you very much, Trust. You just talked about money. Now, Dean, gone are those days where the child comes to meet the parents, and the child will be like, "Mommy, Daddy, I want to go into football, or I want to go into sporting activities." You hear the parents shouting and saying, "No, don't you see Solomon, he is a doctor, and don't you see John, he is a lawyer," and all of that. So what has changed over time, and finding parents really encouraging their children right now to get into sporting activities?
I'll take the case of Mbappe.
Okay.
So parents they've tagged this Project Mbappe.
Okay.
This time they encourage their children to take up football. Gone are the days when children will tell their parents, "I want to be a footballer," and they will get frowned upon. But now they are actively pushing children towards football because they've seen the benefits, financial benefits, and everything concerning football, as in the pedestal, what it pushes people to achieve. So that is why parents now, regardless of what the child or what they think they want the child to be are pushing children. You go and be a footballer. Before they give birth to the children, they've slated them, female or male. I want you to play for PSG female. I want you to go to La Liga, play for the Barcelona female, or go to Wolfsburg in the female Bundesliga. So it's massive now.
You know, funny enough, I was surprised to see, I think myself and Solomon were in the studio that day when the female category, they were playing a particular, is it the Premier League?
That was the UEFA Champions League.
Okay, UEFA Champions League. And the way the ladies, they were playing as if they were men. And I had to ask Solomon, I don't understand, are these men or they are women? So they actually have their own type of leagues and all of that. Okay, now, let's talk about outside the shores of Nigeria. Now, I find that most of my friends, their children, they register them into different clubs.
Okay.
And I tend to call, I'm like, "What happened? Is your child not going to school?" No, they say, yes, they are going to school. But it's kind of a way of, let's say, an extracurricular activities for them. But why in Nigeria down here, we don't see those things?
Well, the structure of schooling there, the structure of the extracurricular activity over there, the way they deem some things very important over there is different from Nigeria. You see, mostly we have a situation whereby these children know that they have to do these things. Unlike in Nigeria, more like most, even in school, you see children, both in secondary and in university, just trying to survive. But right there, they have all this thing lined up from them. From the high school down to elementary school, whatever process that they're going through, through college. For instance, let's go to the United States of America. Their basketball, that's the NBA. It starts from the NCAA. That is from the college basketball.
There is a grade by grade.
So from college basketball, they will now draft players into the NBA. So there's a sequence. And it doesn't just stop there, not just the college. Down to the high school, they have a league that all of them participate in. Now, coming back to football, the English Premier League, there was a match between Chelsea and Liverpool in recent time, the Carabao Cup, and a whole lot of young players played. And funny enough, after that match over the weekend, the next week, they had to go back to school. That means they are students. They still participate in most of these things. You see some footballers from different clubs in England where they have been in that club from age 6. They would go to school, get the conventional kind of education, the one that we all know of. But that part is also very important because they know that, okay, if you can't do what you studied for, there is something else you can fall back on. More like a vocation. You understand? The type we do in Nigeria, we call it vocation. Maybe you're learning tailoring, this or that. Some of them, they're actually very into sports. They let you pick the sporting activities that you will be good at, not the one that they want to force you to become. There are many students in the UK that it might not be football, it might not be swimming, it might not be athletics, but they have, even down to our athletics right now.
Basketball.
Yes, they have basketball. Down to our athletics right now, we have players playing in England, or athletes running for different countries. And at the same time, those representing Nigeria, the likes of Ese Brume, Godson Brume, Enekwachi for short puts, they all went to school over there. They started training over there. And they still deem it fit to represent Nigeria. So if that kind of process is in our curriculum in Nigeria, from the primary school down to the secondary school, and it is integral, like making it very necessary for every student and pupils in that age group, is really going to help. And it has also been a major source of making money for some of these foreign countries. It's not just about participating. Also, just like what he said, when you see some of these players or some of these athletes where their parents have already tagged it out, okay, this is a project, we need to make it work. At the same time, you see the parents, whenever they're having matches, whenever they are having a tournament, they go there to watch. And they don't go in for free, they pay for it. You understand? So you see stadium about 60,000 capacity all filled up, and people are there to watch. It's a means for people to also relax, take their mind off the drama happening in the world. They key into the joy of the game. Just like what he said, it might end goalless, but you enjoy the game.
Like a form of relaxation.
Exactly. So it's a win-win for the country, for those participating, and also those that are the spectator. So if we can see that, if we can see things like that in Nigeria and in Africa generally, it's really going to help the face of sport in Africa.
Okay. All right. Now, you said a win-win for the country. Now, let's talk to Trust. Now, Trust, talking about sport and talking about women being in sport, do you feel that there is an equal opportunity with what is being attributed to men and also being attributed to women? Do you feel the opportunities are there?
Well, yes. You know, one thing is always about how good you sell yourself. If you can showcase your talent, show that you are good enough to be watched, yes, definitely you are going to have a lot of viewers. Like, coming up, I know that I used to watch women's football, especially female national team. I watched a lot of Women's World Cup. And, you know, most people expect these women not to play as good as the men. It might not be their fault, but it's really, really good when you see how much these people have, like, trained over the years, and they are seeing some of them playing better than some of these men, you know. Though, yes, the physical attributes might play a part, but you watch their games and you're really entertained and you're like, wow, this really happened. Like, over the weekend, the Women's Super League in England just ended. And if you watch how it ended, the thrills to it, I think Chelsea Chelsea needed to win by a large goal margin, and Man City also needed a certain number of goals. I think going into the final match, Man City had were chasing Chelsea. They were the same points, but the goal difference was really close. Yes, and all of a sudden, Chelsea women won the game with about six goals, and Man City women, due to the pressure of they need to make more numbers, ended up playing just 2-1. You know, following up with that, and you are really thrilled, and definitely going to the next season, you want to come back to watch that again, so you can witness such passion. So
I think this same, adding to what he just said, on the side of football governing body, both for CAF and also FIFA, they are actually putting modalities in place whereby the reward of the performances of the ladies and the women in sports, in football, basically, both in Africa and in the world, would be almost the same. Because if you look at the revenue generation from both sides, both the men's football and the women's football, it's different. Basically, the men's football is on the higher side. Yes. But in a way to encourage women's football, women's sport generally, there is this a little bit of push to try to like make sure that, okay, the reward that comes out of just participating or just winning this tournament is on the high side. Just like what he said, in the women's Premier League, in the women's Super League, just like what it's called in England, you see that they now give them the opportunity to play in the main stadium of the team. Okay,
of which these things usually don't happen.
Yes, it doesn't happen before. Just like the last game I was talking about, it was between Chelsea and Manchester United. And they played it at Old Trafford. So more like they are giving the fans the opportunity, hey, we are not going somewhere else to show women's football. It's happening right here also. And we're also seeing a report that by next season, Arsenal women will be able to play most of their matches in the Emirates. So if those kind of attention is given to women's football, I believe it's going to grow bigger than what it is right now.
Okay. All right. Now, Dean, do you feel the economic drive, when we talk about income, when, like Solomon said, it's a win-win. You get spectators coming to the stadium to view the matches. Do you feel the economic drive is the same way it is outside the country as it is in Nigeria?
There's a divide. Outside the country, it's way much better. They have more revenue. They have more, as in the fans are kind of more committed. As in, it's like, let me say, they get a lot of value for what they are putting in. So you see those leagues, like we're talking about the La Liga, the Bundesliga, Premiership, even the French Ligue 1, what they've invested in those leagues, that's what they are reaping. So in terms of fans and the clubs, what they are getting, I believe it's what they've sold in it. In Nigeria, our leagues, they are still like growing. It's a fact. And we've not really keyed into it. We are spectators. It's, I went to see Mbende Insurance match in Benin here. The turnout was not really encouraging. And we have matches going on. When we have them in Benin City, people go to, you are supposed to go, as in show that, go and watch.
And have yourself relaxed.
Well, it always ends up like more like them begging fans to come and watch.
This is our own thing. It's closer to us. As in, it's closer.
Okay, so what do you think it's wrong? What do you think we are not being put in place, or is not being put in place to make sure spectators, fans come to the stadium to to watch, and vendors, make their money and all of that? So what do you feel it's not being put in place to make all of this happen?
I think the FA, they have to like put a lot of work into making the sport more alluring to spectators around this community. As in, make it as alluring as the Premiership. You have to start from somewhere, but you have to put in that work as in conscious effort. That this is our own league, this is our own team, here in Nigeria or here in Benin City. Come out and support us. I hardly see people putting on the Bende Insurance jersey. It's a very beautiful jersey. But when you go out, you see Arsenal, you see Manchester United. That is a form of where you show patriotism, commitment. So when you put on this jersey, they'll be like, this is Bende Insurance. They have a match coming up. Why don't I just go to the stadium and see it? I think that publicity, as in conscious effort, should be made towards it.
Okay, and then I remember when I was in school when they say sports day or something like that.
Yes,
You said what?
Inter-house
sports.
Oh, no, not even inter-house. I'm talking about in university.
Okay.
You have like a particular day cut out for culture day, old school day, sports week. Like what you just said now. We don't find people wearing like you said Bendel Insurance or all those other names of clubs that we have in our country. Rivers United, Sunshine, Stars. Okay, now good. Now we find Manchester United, we find Arsenal, we find Chelsea, and all of that.
Yeah. Why it's like that in Nigeria? But I think is those club side, those countries that we are talking about right now, they've worked over these things over time. They've put in conscious efforts to make sure that, yes, whatever we are showing, whatever we are doing gets out to the public. There is sensitization from the side of both the team, the players. You see them, for instance, I follow most of the teams in English Premier League. I follow the activities. You see them in a week, aside them having trainings in open places where fans can come and watch.
Yeah.
They also have youth rank having their own tournament. They have the under 18s, the under 15, the under 13, the under 10. They have the women's under 15 down to the women's main team. And they more like they bring in people in the community to also participate in their activities. For instance, you have 3 kids in Bendel Insurance. As maybe one in under 10, another one under 15. He has 3 kids. He has 3. I have 3 also. We'll definitely come for their matches. We'll come and watch. We'll encourage people to, hey, my kid is playing today. Come and watch. You see, that's the process that most of these club sides go through in Europe, in England especially. Take, for instance, we know Arsenal. Bukayo Saka is playing for Arsenal right now. But he grew up playing for this club right from when he was very young. We have Nketiah. In Chelsea, you have the likes of Reece James, Conor Gallagher. Those are players that they started off playing as a kid. This same Reece James that we are talking about, his younger sister is still playing for the same team. His dad also have a little bit of connection as a fan of Chelsea. Definitely, you have family member, you have people, friends that are friends to this people that are friends to this particular person who want to come and see them perform very well. Before you know, the stadium is filled up. Everybody's there. Just like what he said, looking at some of our local matches, I was privileged to cover the finals of the Federation Cup between Enugu Rangers and Bendel Insurance last year. And the turnout was good. But you feel we can do better in Nigeria. We can do way better than this. The commitment, the joy, the thrill, the excitement when you are on the pitch and looking around, seeing that there are people there. Sometimes I wonder, how do European players do it? You see about 80,000 people watching you at the same time. And in Nigeria, you struggle to just have about, let's say, 1,000 people or 2,000 people watching you. So the thrill is different. But at the same time, we are very lucky in Nigeria that we still see most of our athletes and also players go out there and perform exceptionally well.
Yeah. Okay, now we need to go on a break right now. If you just joined us, we're all looking at World Football Day and looking at the games. Yeah, when we're talking about football, we know football is all-encompassing. Lots of persons, they're into football, but we also have other sports in general also. Now, before we go on a break quickly, when we come back, we'll be talking about or looking at the lives of these individuals, how sport has turned their lives around and how sport has also turned the economy around. Now, we also have esports. Yes, we also have esports. Talking about the games, individuals have looked into sporting events and looked into football also. Now let's look at the individual lives. We have the person of Ronaldo and the likes Messi. Now, if not for football, how do you think their life will be right now? And I know Ronaldo has like a charity organization that he gives out to those needy, those poor, or what would I say, vulnerable. I'm actually using Ronaldo as a reference point. Now, if not for football or if not for sports, do you feel someone like Ronaldo, you'd be able to talk about that person?
Well, Ronaldo, that's a very big example. I would prefer we look at someone from our own side,
Okay.
Nigeria.
Okay,
Let's take Victor
Nigeria.
Osimhen, for instance.
Okay, fine.
It all started from the streets. Victor Boniface also. It all started from the streets. You know, the love for the game. That's the first step. Even the likes of Ronaldo, Messi, when they tell their story, there's always this part whereby you see that there's passion
There's
for
passion.
it. There are times, for instance, Victor Osimhen had a situation whereby he was rejected at some point. That, okay, you are not big enough, you don't look strong enough, and you might not qualify into this age rank. The same thing with Lionel Messi. You are too small, you are too short. There is that rejection at a point. Well, that zeal, that push to tell yourself that, hey, you still want to get this done. You still want to try and make sure you make something out of it. That, I think most of, let's say about 60% of footballers right now, they were not privileged to like start from a very good background, maybe starting from the academy of different teams down to where they are right now. Most of them just have that passion for it, and that passion got discovered by someone, and they are where they are right now. Victor Osimhen started off with under 17, becoming the highest goal scorer in that particular one. Moved out to Wolfsburg, from there to Lille, from Lille to Napoli right now, and he's doing exceptionally well. The CAF best player in Africa right now. It's something to reckon with, but it all started off from somewhere. You know, at first, you won't even think about the financial gain. You just want to play good football. Most of them, they just want to play football. You see, most players that just worry about the gains, probably they've played football to a certain level and they've gathered up that experience and they know that, yes, this thing can actually make money for me.
Yeah.
But the first thing is, no matter the sport,
Yeah,
the
the
first thing
passion.
that comes first is the passion.
Yeah.
The passion will always drive you. Even the likes of Michael Jordan, the renowned Michael Jordan we know for basketball, he got rejected at college many times. He wasn't even drafted as the best player, because there's a system in which they make sure that every good player from their college level, they pick about 100 of them and they put them in different teams. It continues every year in the NBA. So there's no year that will pass by without at least 100 players moving into the top tier of basketball in the USA. And you see players like Michael Jordan wasn't even among the first 10. But still got to the peak of his career. So the passion is the main thing. The passion will drive, is the driving force rather. And definitely what we are seeing in football with the likes of Ronaldo and Messi, where they are right now, their passion did pushed them to where they are. They are still looking for more. They are not even stopping. That's just the thing. But the money keeps coming, by the way.
Yeah, certainly. It keeps coming. Okay, now let's look at esports. We know in our society, when you have the like say the manual sports, you also have that of going to the technical aspect. Now let's start with Dean. What is esports? What is it all about?
Basically, esports is electronic sports.
Yeah.
So it's competition based on video games. The world right now, it's more technologically advanced. So technology is driving esports so fast.
Okay.
So what it is, it's your mobile phones. Now, they are all equipped with games.
Okay.
So people go online and they play games. So esports is basically competitive video games.
Okay.
So you are talking about games like the COD Mobile, MK, Mortal Kombat, which I've said. Mortal Kombat. Then you go to the Call of Duty Mobile and then PES.
Okay.
Which is Pro Evolution Soccer, which is now eFootball.
Okay, okay. eFootball.
Which is now eFootball, electronic football.
Okay. Because I see some guys, you know, with their phones and they're all serious and you're asking them, what are you doing? You say, okay, I'm playing football.
They're playing games on their phone, and that's eSport, and it's very lucrative now.
Okay.
And also very passionate. You have to
have the
passion for it.
If you can play, let's say, play football.
Yes.
Is there a way you can go into eFootball?
Well, yes, you can.
Okay.
You can.
Trust.
You don't have to be physically like your physical
knowing how to
play football in real life doesn't affect your mental attributes playing it as a video game.
Okay.
Though you should have a certain understanding of the sport, down to tactics, player abilities, how to adapt to certain situations. But after that, it now comes down to your own self, your game sense at that moment. How do you apply it to that specific video game you're playing? Because every video game has something we call meta, most effective tactic available. So how do you apply your football sense and that meta together to play that video game? That's what's...
Well, adding to what he said, most times it doesn't really mean that you might have the physical attributes to do those sports. For instance, I do play video games. Most footballers, most professional footballers, they do play video games. There was a situation with the camp of the Super Eagles of Nigeria during the African Cup of Nations. I think after they played the game against South Africa, and they were all excited after it. But at the end of the day, when I'm checking through most of their rooms, seeing what the players are doing, they were playing games. The idea was, or is, to distract them from the tension on ground. They are going to the finals. They are playing against the host nation in their country. But you need something to like take your mind off the situation on ground. And also going back to what he said, for instance, I do play football. But there are people that don't, I even have friends that don't know how to play football like physically.
They're into
but if we are playing video games,
they
are so good in it. So good in it. So it's a different scenario, but it comes together at once because you have to have the knowledge of what you are doing. You can't just, you can't be a person that don't know anything about football and suddenly you want to start playing a game that concern football. First of all, you want to know the rules. You want to know how it goes. Okay, for instance, you can't be playing a video game and you just carry the player and just go across the line. You have to know that there's something called throwing, there's something called corner kick, there's a duration for the match. So it brings people closer to this sporting activity. For instance, now you might not understand basketball, but once you start playing basketball games, you will understand the game. And when you see it on the screen, you now remember a player that you saw in the game. Now, oh, this is how the guy look like. Before you know, you start growing interest in watching the game and also following up on the real life events that concern. Because you want to know the best player that is coming up next. You want to know the best next thing that is happening in that particular sport. So it makes you want to follow up and also have a good knowledge of the sporting activity and also increase the knowledge of you having it on your phone. E-sport, just like what they said. Okay.
All right. So, Dean, what would we say are the advantages of e-sports?
One of the major advantages of e-sports, video games, relaxation. So it's something that makes you unwind. Then taking you away from relaxation, we go into the lucrative aspect of it. They are professional esports players now.
Professional.
Yes. You can go at a professional, you compete as a professional level.
Okay, like a normal, let's say like a normal football game, a normal basketball game, and all of that. You are a professional in esports. Like
Trust here is a professional esport player for Nigeria. Oh. Okay. #1 esport player in Nigeria for eFootball. And he gets to represent us outside the country. So there are people like this all over the country representing for different games. From MK, for Tekken, so it's just spread out. So whichever esport game you play and it's competitive, there's a place for you.
Okay. All right, so Trust, how did you come about, you know, the e-football thing? Did this start off from like a passion, or you are a footballer in real sense, or in real life?
I am not a footballer in any way. Okay. Yes, I do play with my friends once in a while, but I'm not the best. I'm not even up to average, but you know, just play it for fun because I love the game, football, you know. And getting into esports, it just started from, you know, playing video games at home, from playing on the PC meant for doing your schoolwork. You've already used style, just install 1 or 2 video games on your PC. Your parents don't know about it. You're already playing it. Then they find out.
But right now, do they know about it?
They know, they know. Right now, they encourage it.
Okay.
So, starting from there, then you move on to now playing in game houses with your friends. Then one of your other friends said, oh, I saw this online, or there's this competition, come and play. Then you play in this competition and you do well, even if you don't win it, you actually see that this thing is actually happening. Like, you can actually make money of this thing. Though my own was by mistake, you know, just surfing YouTube. I was trying to work on something back then in my secondary school time. Then I noticed that there were actual competitions for Call of Duty. Call of Duty was the very first esport game I came across, and it's a first-person shooter game that is basically a battle game whereby you're shooting guns between you and your enemies. And I started following up on it. Then later I realized that, okay, this game I played, this game FIFA, why is there not an esport for it? And I searched for it, and there was actually an esport for it. That is, they played competitions on this thing.
football.
Yes,
no.
FIFA is
FIFA.
then it was
Okay,
FIFA.
okay.
It was FIFA
So
that
esports covers it all.
covers different games. This is a different football game.
Okay.
So from seeing this, I was like, wow, I wish this was a thing in the country. Then in the year, I think 2015, I heard about a certain tournament. It was a tech expo called Tech Plus. Then that was my very first esports tournament, and I went to play for that tournament, and that was one of the biggest tournaments I've ever been for. We had people coming all the way from Ghana and Ivory Coast coming to compete that day. And that day I played, that was my very first tournament, and out of over 1,000 players, I finished in round of 16. And I was like, this might actually be my thing. So ever since then, I've been going for tournaments after tournaments. Then I moved from FIFA and started playing PES. PES is now called eFootball today. It just changed the name.
FIFA also changed its name.
Yes,
To
to FC. So ever since then, I've been competing, home and abroad, just trying to see how far I can come, and so far it's been really good.
Okay. All right, so Dean, you had something to say while he was talking now.
Yeah, well, esport covers everything, like you said. This moving from FIFA to PES to MK to Tekken, those are basically esport games. Those are the competition that are based on it.
Okay.
Just wanted to clarify.
Okay, adding to it, basically, we that don't compete on professional level, we just play for fun. It's a way to bring us closer to the game. It's a way to unwind. For instance, if I'm having a bad day and I'm looking for a distraction, if I don't play football physically, at least I have it on my phone. I also play football on my phone. It brings me closer to my job also. It makes me know actions and things and people in history and also in present day, their form, how good they are. Sometimes if we even go through some player statistics, we're like, oh, this player is actually good at tackling, why this player is good at sprinting. So you get to understand the various players and also athletes. They even have games, different kind of games. Moving away from the competitive part, just for the fun fact, there are different kind of game. There's basketball, there's I think there's one for American football also. There's also the one for athletics. Back in the days, even going way back, you see some games that will challenge your personality, sports games that you would definitely want to, like, okay, let me devote a little bit of my time. Nowadays the kind of games people play is a little bit different, but sport games, basically, it's very, very interesting. Just like the first question you asked about being able to do what you play. Let me put it that way. Probably him being a footballer and also comparing to him playing the game is always different. Okay. You see, most people that knows how to play the game very well, they might not know how to play physically. That's just it. Because you know the tactical aspect. It's just like a coach and a player. The player on the field knows how to, like, control the ball, do this, do that. The coach might have an idea of it, maybe in the past, maybe it was the past player or the rest. But presently, if they put him and the player side by side, the player definitely will perform better on the pitch. But when it comes to tactical aspects, the coach will perform better. So it's still a win-win for everybody, both from the tech world and also in the physical world. Okay, all right, so Dean.
The thing is that video games right now, they are so advanced. Let's take, for example, there's a rematch in real life. Let's look at the Bundesliga side and Bayern.
No, let's look at Bendel Insurance.
Bendel Insurance, they are not on FC. That's what I'm saying.
Let's say, why are they not on Orlando Pirates and you can use that one as example.
I think EA Sports, that is the creator from FC. They came to Nigeria. I think they are incorporating Nigerian leagues, as in some teams, into FC. But for now, let me just talk about what I know. Okay, let's say Bundesliga now. Bayern München, they have a bad run, a bad week, as in, so the Bayern München standard, they didn't perform well this season.
Yeah.
If you know Bundesliga, well, you know Bayern Munich. So that's the thing. So if they have a bad week, and you go to your video game, let's say your PlayStation, and you put on live rating on your FC, you will see the current form that Bayern Munich has. That's what will be available on FC. So if they're in bad form, that's how you will play them.
Okay.
And you will know, you will feel, you have the feeling like that.
You will feel them playing, for lack of a better word, you see them playing nonsense.
Okay.
You see them playing nonsense online because they are in a bad form, in a bad state.
And they will always put you in a position to try to improve their play.
Okay. Okay, so are we trying to say what actually happened in physical is also happening in the...
More like they are trying to integrate it.
In the virtual world, they mirror it.
Okay.
So you see the ratings of the players.
Okay.
How they are rated in real life. That's how they rate them on the game.
Okay.
So they can't perform well.
Okay, now, Solomon, do you feel, let's say in the nearest time, there will be a shift from the physical, normal playing on the pitch and all of that to the e-sport or e-football?
The shift has already started. Not just from professional e-sports player, even conventional footballers.
Okay.
You see, whenever you go to their YouTube channels, try to see some of their videos, you must see at least a video or two of players competing against each other with their own team on their page.
Yeah.
They just want to show you that, okay, you might feel as if you are not as good as what you think you are, but you can actually try and use yourself and play and see how it goes. And there's something that e-football, not e-football, I think is FC football right now, the former FIFA. Every season, there is a play card that is sent to most of the football teams in the world, especially the big one from the top 6 league. You know your rating, your pace, your jump, whatever attribute that they want to put on the play card, they will send it to you. You will review it yourself. Now you see that it's more like, just like what you said, they are mirroring what they play on the pitch to what is in the video game. They are giving people the real life experience of how it feels on the side of those players, on the side of those athletes. You can put yourself in their shoes. Just like what you said, if they are having a bad run, it's going to reflect in their game. Now they are now putting you in a position whereby you can either teach the team or try to use the team in an improved manner. Just like what he said meta. I can't really get the
most effective tactic available.
Most effective tactics available. So they want you to apply the most effective tactics available and see whether you can get a better result. There's something we used to do when I was way younger. I think then it was PES 09 or 010. If you are playing with someone that you know you are way better than, you don't use a big team. For instance, the person wants to use Real Madrid. You will not use Real Madrid. You might just go down and pick maybe Granada or go to the English Premier League, maybe Burnley. You just want to see how you can compete on the highest level with something that is smaller. So more like you are giving, if there's a way they can transmit some of those results to the actual team, they would be motivated. That, oh, so my team can perform this good on a video game. Please tell us, how did you go about it? What did you add to it?
Tactics?
And if you notice, most times they allow players, footballers, real life footballers, to play those games. Why? Because they want to see how you are going to use your own self. Where do you want to position yourself? How do you want it to be? So there's this integration of technology into sport, basically. We are also seeing it in the area of refereeing. They just want to say, what if there is a better option? What if there's a better tactics? Please tell us, because they don't know everything. Only a coach, even the coaching, there's a coaching staff. So you have a whole lot of people around him that will make the work better. So but at the same time, they still leave it for the people to do the extra thinking and see whether they can get a better result.
All right, so beyond mere recreation, it is a universal spoken language by people of all ages, transcending national, cultural, and socio-economic boundary. Now, the sharing of passion to foster communities and all of that. Now, there's something I actually wrote down. That there was a movie I watched yesterday, funny enough. It's called The Good Play, and it's all about football. It's about the homeless.
Homeless football.
Yes, the
it's
homeless
real.
football. So that's the reason why I said, how has football been able to, you know, transform the lives of so many? Now we talked about here, it's hope and talent on the pitch. Football sustains dream of young refugees in Kenya, as an example. And in Kenya, they use Kakuma refugee camp. Young footballers like the names we mentioned, Abdurrahman loved football and all of that. Anyway, let's talk about football in essence, turning the lives of so many persons, like what I talked about, the movie I watched yesterday, the homeless, the homeless World Cup.
Yes.
Now, you could see that it's changed their life entirely. Those persons that were awarded to go to school, to better their lives and all of that. So, in a nutshell, what would you say, or what is your advice to so many persons out there that have this passion for football, for sports? Let's start with Solomon.
Well, the advice is always the same. Once you have the opportunity and you have the talent, go for it. Don't hold back. Don't think of the impossible. You know, going way back in the days when parents don't let people play football. The main reason at the time, I had to ask my mom, like, why always getting angry when you see me go play football? I was like, I don't want you to get injured. That is just the reason. Yes, we know it exists. We know there is injury attached to it, but it doesn't, it means, I won't say it doesn't, because it's very important to know that your health is wealth. And you want to attain maximum fitness. So in as much as there is a danger factor, very little of it, we should always try to recognize talent and follow through with it.
Encouragement too.
Yes.
All right, so Trust.
Yeah, you know, there's one thing I always say, passion can always take you a long way. Like, it can push you beyond your own limits. So if, you know, football is your passion and you have a talent for it, even if you don't have a talent for it, there are other ways you can also gain from it. So you can be a coach, you can be like a physiotherapist, you know, there are always a lot of opportunities.
Sports commentator.
Yeah, sports commentator and analyst. So it goes beyond just you being able to kick the ball. Everybody
on the pitch.
Everybody has a part to play. So yeah.
Okay. All right. Dean.
Football is an escape, and now it's a very lucrative escape. So it's something that is very advisable for people. So like Trust said, if you have the passion for it, if you have that drive, above all things is the drive. That's the most important thing. So if you don't have that drive, you just burn out. So once you have that drive, you see, this is what I want to do. So it's best to just go for it.
Okay. All right. Okay. So Trust, you said you'll be representing Nigeria for
the World Sport Championships.
Okay, and that'll be coming when?
December.
December.
Yes.
Okay, so we'll root for you now, you know.
Definitely.
Yeah, go Trust. All right, now football is the only sport where you put people together. It doesn't matter if you're rich or poor, black or white. It is one nation. And that is what we call football. It has been an exciting time today with you, looking at football, looking at sports in general. Just go for what you love. Passion is the drive. I'll be seeing you again next week for another exciting time. To have yourself a blessed day. Bye for now.